I guess I probably should have asked this question at the beginning, but this is probably a good segue now. When we talk about the paranormal, what are we really talking about? Because there's aliens, there's just things that are just strange happenings, weird feelings, actual ghosts. What are we talking about?
The paranormal and supernatural just means above the normal. It means something outside of our normal frame of reference. You know, I always get a kick out of the fact when they talk about cryptids, you know, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Chupacabra. The biggest cryptozoologists in the field will tell you that it's a cryptid and it's part of their genre until it's found and located, right? And then it becomes a zoological creature.
Sure.
And then it's just a beastie, you know, and then it's something that's part of our regular lexicon. So that's kind of what it is with the paranormal, is taking a look at these things and breaking it down and trying to understand what are we really dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is a ghost? What are these different factions of the paranormal, and how do we define them? And that's really kind of the elusive part. We start to think we've put something into a category, into its own little box, that this is what a ghost is, and then 8 other things will happen, and then suddenly that reshapes your thinking of what the paranormal means and what these ghost things are. So it's always shifting. I don't know, for 7 years for me it's changed from one end to a totally different end of the spectrum.
Sure. What are people more scared about, do you think? Do you think ghosts kind of creep people out, or do you think that the whole idea about alien abduction scare people? What are people scared of these days?
I think more people are frightened of alien abductions than they are of ghosts, because most people, their ghostly encounters are with a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I saw a butterfly and I knew that was my grandmother, or, you know, or my grandfather and I used to collect wheat pennies, and I walked in the room and there were 3 wheat pennies laying on the floor. You know, where would those have come from? Da, 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 da. So people, I think, are a lot more accepting of ghosts in that aspect of the paranormal. But when you start talking about things that are coming into your home and taking you from your home and doing things to you, you know, with the alien abduction scenarios, I think that's a lot more freaky for people than just a ghost encounter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because obviously if they can remove you from your house, ghosts, you know, they really, I don't know anybody that's ever actually been physically harmed by a ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, but on Ghost Adventures they were scratched. I don't know if they were dealing with a ghost.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what they were up against. And it could have been something a little bit more malevolent or nasty, or it could have been psychosomatic. I don't know. I wasn't there. I've never been scratched. I shouldn't say that. Actually, I take that back. I did an investigation in California with Bill Murphy from the TV show Fact or Faked. And we went to go do this, what the heck is the name of the place?
That Vista place?
Yeah, not Linda Vista, but some other location. And we were there, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, geez, dude, what happened?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You got a huge scratch on your nose." I'm like, "What are you talking?" And I had like this big gouge with a drip of blood coming down.
Wow.
And I said, "I don't know." But, you know, I wear my sunglasses on my head. I'm moving them. We're walking around these old buildings. I could have gotten a rock and just done one of these and scratched myself. I don't know. I wasn't. He goes, "I should document that." I'm like, "Bill, we don't know where it came from. How do we document a scratch after the fact?" That's like the people that claim, you know, they go into another room and then all of a sudden they come out, "Oh, look at the scratches." Well, there was nobody there with you, and suddenly now that you've been alone, you have scratches. It'd be one thing if you're standing there and you go, and you lift up your shirt and there's 3 scratches appearing on you.
Mm-hmm.
So I just told him, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. Let's just ignore it. So we went about investigating and doing some stuff, and he kept staring at me. And he goes, "Damn it, I wish you would have just let me document it." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Go look in the mirror. No scratch, no blood, it's all gone."
Really? Wow.
So that was one of the weirder moments that I ever had with that. But, you know, again, I don't think ghosts will hurt us. Aliens are spooky, man. They take you out, they do things to you, they implant things in you, they probe you, they, you know, take you to their planet and bring you back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are a lot more unnerved by that idea. That just seems a lot more, you know, on par with like rape.
Sure.
You know, it's violating your privacy, violating your person. So I think that's a much
And then there's
more
a religious aspect too. People will talk about demonology and stuff like that. You've talked to demonologists about. I think that's probably the creepiest thing that I've ever heard of. Have you talked to people about their beliefs about demons and angels and how that kind of creeps people out?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for 7 years we've talked to demonologists of religious sects and demonologists of lay persons that are just in the field and have studied the occult and kind of delve into that. So we've spoken to all different people that consider themselves demonologists. A lot of the shows love to amp up the scare factor. And, we're definitely facing a demon here. I don't know what constitutes a demon, because Grandma's favorite plate got thrown off the shelf and shattered on the floor. Oh my God, it's got to be a demon, it broke Grandma's plate. Or maybe it was Grandma's ghost and she always hated that plate and wants you to get rid of it. I'm more apt to believe that it's something less malevolent than people think. But
right.
They get so amped up and they're so afraid and they're so jumpy about things that they want to jump to the darkest deal. Plus it's more exciting, truthfully, right? You
Sure.
tell a good story. It couldn't have been a train that went by and the plane was just precariously placed and fell off. It had to be that something was pissed and wanted your attention and it threw Grandma's plate to the floor. So, I think there's a lot to it. I'm not discounting the fact that there's demons. I mean, obviously there's something. The Roman Catholic Church teaches exorcism now. They have an entire course on exorcism.
Yes, and I've read the book, The Rite,
right,
which came out recently, Matt Baglio, and
mm-hmm.
I was very creeped out by that book.
We had Matt on our show shortly after it came out, and you just look at what's involved in this, and there's something going on. Whereas back in the 70s when The Exorcist came out, there were, I think, 4 or 5 acting exorcists in the United States. Now there's at least 1 or 2 for every state. And
wow.
Then there's, at least. See, there's a lot going on in the Roman Catholics. Obviously, they know something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But again, is it something that we bring on ourselves? Is it thought forms? Is it our focus and concern on the dark side and our fear of it that creates these things and starts opening it up to, thought forms, and that we start creating our own hell right here on earth by being so afraid all the time?
But you
Sure.
believe in angels, though, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said,
So
I
that's
don't
what
discount
angels.
demons. I think that they exist. I just don't think they're in every cabinet, And
Yeah.
I think angel encounters, I think a lot of what we perceive as ghost encounters may be more angelic intervention,
Mm-hmm.
Because truthfully, when Grandma's ghost shows up to you and says, now listen, Jeremy, on Friday, don't go to TGI Fridays, because there's going to be a horrible shootout and you could be wounded. You're gonna listen. Now if I show up in a white sheet and a halo and I'm, oh, Jeremy, don't go to Fridays this Friday, you're bound to be shot. You're just gonna think, wow, I've got to go to bed earlier and stop eating a big heavy dinner, right?
Right.
But if it shows up as your grandmother, your grandfather, somebody you love and trust, I think that you're more willing to accept the message. So you might think twice when your buddies go, hey, we're heading to TGI Fridays on Friday, you want to come out with us? You know what, I got some stuff I got to do this week,
Right.
So.
Do you think of yourself as an entertainer, or are you doing a public service?
Uh-huh.
Or a little bit of both?
Sure.
Both, right?
Our whole idea when Tim and I started the show was to educate people, entertain them, and enlighten them. So we make people laugh. We don't take ourselves seriously, but we take the topics seriously.
Right.
We're never disrespectful to our guests. And we just have a good time with what we do. But in that, people walk away learning more than if they had to sit there and read a stodgy book that sometimes is just so dry and boring. We try to get to the meat of it and have some fun with it and poke fun at the fears that people have and try to get them out of that dark corner of their own mind. And, by enlightening them, it takes away that fear and they kind of take on a different stance.
Sure.